Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. Today, we're back with our friend John Lewis, who's the original badass vegan. Welcome to Green is Good, John.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, the first time we met was at the LA Green Festival. Now we're here today in Chicago at the Green Festival.
Yeah.
You're back, of course, we're back, and we've got your amazing, badass, cookies here today. And I'm going to just tell you something. At the last festival, I ate 2 of these, and then you were kind enough to give me a box to bring home. My kids tore it up. My kids, Courtney and Tyler, they loved it. This product's amazing, and I want to get into that. But before we get into this great product right here that you're producing, talk a little bit about the John Lewis story. What was your journey leading up to this? You know, obviously, John, you're an amazingly fit guy and everything. Talk a little bit about your story.
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, actually, and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. A lot of people don't know I was actually raised in Ferguson, where all the madness is going on right now. So I'm a big promoter of, you control your own destiny. Like you can basically take over your life. No matter where you come from, you can take ownership and you can do what you want to do. So that's like one of my biggest things. I try to be motivational to people. A lot of people don't know I was actually 315 pounds when I was a freshman in high school. So I was a big kid, and it just came from poor eating habits, things of that nature. Your parents try to do the best, but, it's uneducation a lot. And I just kind of took it into my own hands. I started playing basketball, football, ran a little track in high school, and that helped out tremendously. I lost a lot of the weight, and I kept it off. Wasn't vegan yet, but I did learn a little bit about, what intake, outtake, things of that nature. And I went to graduate school in Miami. And when I got down there, I pretty much started to notice I had like a couple of complications with everything. I got down there and it was like party time. I ate everything from Jamaican food, Haitian food, Cuban food. It was a big melting pot, and my stomach just kind of didn't like it. So when I remember going to the doctor, he pretty much just told me, he asked me, do I eat a lot of meat? And I was like, of course not. We're in denial. We always say what we think we don't do. And of course, I probably had meat in everything I did. So he said, well, try not eating meat for 30 days. And I was like, look at me, man. I was like, look how big I am. I can't do that. And I actually had a passing of a friend who had sickle cell anemia. And I'm a big promoter of research and things of that nature for that. And he passed away on Halloween Day in 2004. Whoa. And that was like my calling. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this no meat thing. So I went vegetarian, and I never even made it to the 30 days because within 15 days, I felt like 1,000,000 times better. And I was like, wow. So I was like, there is something behind this. And so I was vegetarian for 3 years, and then found out that my mother had colon cancer. Ooh. So when I found out about that, I literally remember asking the doctors, so how did this happen? And he was really upfront with me. He told me, he said, well, too much animal protein in the system mixed with processed foods, greasy things. And I'm a huge believer in learning from your own mistakes, but I'm a bigger believer in if you already did the mistake for me, there's no need in me doing it. So if I see you run into that brick wall over there and you hit your head, I'm not going to try to prove you wrong and say, you know what, I bet you I can get through that wall. I'm not going to do it. So that's pretty much where the vegan started. And I was a part of I don't know if you ever heard of the at-home workout system, the P90X.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people don't know I was one of the faces of that. So I was like on the infomercials, commercials, and I was all over with that. And when people found out I was vegan, they were shocked. They were like, oh, so you're vegan and you can do this. And, a funny story behind that is when I was in the ads, they had me in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue and the Maxim magazine at the same time. So I'm like one of the few guys that can say I was actually in the swimsuit issue. And my mom literally, I remember her calling me after she went to the grocery store to pick up both magazines, and she said she didn't realize what she was doing because there's this 77-year-old woman in the grocery store with a Maxim and a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, and the young guys looking at her like, what are you doing with
what's
this?
Going on
like, what's going on? She said she didn't have anything else in the cart. She just literally came to get the magazines. So,
That's awesome.
We did that. And that's why I came out with Badass Vegan, because I just really wanted to show people that, you can be vegan. We like concerts. We like to go out. We like to travel. We like good food. We do it all. We don't just sit around hugging trees barefoot. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I see a good tree, if we got a moment, we might there might be a hug involved. But
John, there's a lot of people out there that don't understand vegetarianism versus veganism. Can you explain to our listeners out there what that all means as opposed to the different diets that are out there, vegetarian, vegan, and paleo? There's a lot of confusion out there right now.
Yeah, for a lot of people that are confused with it, there are some differences in between the three. The main two that we talk about usually is veganism and vegetarianism.
Right.
Veganism pretty much is the elimination of all animal products whatsoever. Vegetarians still include things such as dairy or eggs or even honey or things of that nature. I've seen some people that kind of teeter-totter between the honey, even being vegan. For me, it's more, and I know that some places treat, the bees in a bad manner.
Right.
For me, it's just once I learned that the bees regurgitate what they make, I just kind of thought about, my partying days in college and regurgitation, and that was good. I didn't want to deal with that at that point.
You were out on the bees.
Yeah, I was out on the honey and the bees. Right. So, just to go back to it, a lot of people don't understand that you eliminate milk, dairy, eggs, and a lot of on the health side of it, what you're looking at is that you're still ingesting animal protein,
right?
And that's another thing to look at. That's why you still can have a vegetarian with high cholesterol or a vegetarian with heart disease, and they're wondering why, and they're like, well, I eliminate all the meat, but you're still ingesting the actual animal protein. One of the things I always tell people is that we have such a huge dairy consumption in our environment, and we wonder why we have so many problems. If you think about it, it takes a human 18 years to grow into our body for the most part. It takes a calf less than a year to grow into a full cow. If you think about it, we're putting the milk that's meant to grow a being from a calf to a cow in 1 year, and we're putting it into a body that's supposed to take 18 years to fully develop. And we're wondering why we're having so many problems. So that's something that we fail to look at. I know with No Shave November coming up and things of that nature, like my biggest thing is I think we need to stop looking for the cure and start looking at the cause. I think we're doing so much research on how can we find a cure for this, and we're forgetting what's causing it. Like, where is it coming from?
Well said.
Yeah.
That's
so,
really well
I think if we really focused on the actual cause, we would save way more lives than trying to find a cure.
So when did you start, and how did you start your great company?
Actually, I was being greedy one night and wanted a cookie. So I really just made it for myself more than anything. And, my clients, being a trainer. And a lot of the clients, they were like, oh my God, you should really sell this. And I was like, no, this is for you. Try it out, And I heard it 7 times within 2 days. And once I really saw that, I was like, okay, maybe we should look into this. And then I had got it analyzed and saw that, each cookie's got 14 grams of protein, it's high carb, so it'll sustain you and keep you going for the day. And, with the spirulina, I hate to use the catchphrase superfood, but it really is what it is. It's a superfood. I mean, so it's full of antioxidants. It's got your B12, B6, omega-3, omega-6, your chlorophyll, your phytonutrients. Like each one is eating 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You know what I'm saying? So it's just got so many things in it that even being vegan, we miss out a lot on. And I did a little research. Well, I did a lot of research, but one of the things I saw was that it's been documented as one of the first plants on the earth is spirulina.
No kidding.
So that's probably why it's just stood the test of time. It's between them and roaches. They've pretty much been here forever.
So what year was that when you were starting?
I started Badass Vegan, the company, in 2010, January 2010. Okay. I started the first product, which is this, which was June of last year, 2013.
How did you make a business out of that? Then how did you get to the name, the packaging? Explain, walk our listeners and viewers out through that whole process.
Well, it kind of came from the whole implementation of the word badass vegan in the first place, because I wanted people to understand that you could be badass.
Right.
You don't have to be, just because you care and you want to be vegan, things like that. You can be badass. So when I was trying to come up with a name for the cookie, I literally racked my brain. Should we call this fancy ass cookie? Whatever, we went through everything. And I was like, why reinvent the wheel? Everybody loves badass vegan. And the good thing is, one thing that I do love is my followers are not all vegan. because I embrace them. Like, I want them to understand that just because you're not vegan doesn't mean that we're separated. I want you to see that you can do this and you can be a part of it. So I wanted to come up with something that just embraced the whole essence of being a vegan, which is badass. I think every vegan is badass, no matter what.
But they can buy it at badassvegan.com.
They can buy it at badassvegan.com. I just got approved for Whole Foods for the state of Florida.
That's huge.
So that's going to open up a lot of regions there. And, you know, if people are looking forward to Whole Foods, all you got to do is just go ask them.
Let's go back to your policy of inclusion. You want to make a bigger tent. In terms of your name and your brand, you want to make a bigger tent, not only in terms of making a great product, but also it has to taste good.
Exactly.
Explain how you came up with a great taste besides a cookie that's good for you.
I grew up in a cooking family, and I grew up trying to, you know, make dishes at home. I would go to a restaurant, taste it. I'm like, I can make that at home.
So that's in your DNA.
It's in my
you got
DNA.
that. You got the touch.
I was a fat kid, you know. I love food, you know. And the biggest thing is I don't like nasty food. I want it to taste great. I want people to see that, yes, in the vegan community, in the plant-based community, there is great food over here. You know, people say, well, how do you maintain your weight? I said, I eat. Like, you know, if you're trying to keep weight on, you eat. If you're trying to lose weight, you eat less. It's just, you can do whatever you want to do as a vegan that you can do as a meat eater.
You're still a physical specimen from your video days and Maxim days and Sports Illustrated days. People would ask right up front, how do you get all your protein? How do you get all that in you know?
Yeah, you know, spirulina is a huge component for me, honestly.
Okay.
I use that, but you know, I try to tell people it's a level of protein in every item of food that you eat. It may not be 30%, but it's in there. So you gotta compare. You can't compare iceberg lettuce to maybe tofu or seitan or things of that nature. But it's gonna be protein in all those things. I actually don't even measure my protein anymore. I just eat how I feel. If I feel like I'm full, I stop eating. And, you know, some people have this meter, I need protein today, or my body. No, nobody's died from protein deficiency since like 1830, I think, you know, something like that.
Those are good odds, right?
Yeah, you know, I think you're good. I think you're good. It doesn't happen anymore, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of people fail to realize we really don't need as much protein as the industry is trying to tell us. And if we do, if that was even the case, your source of the protein is more important than the actual level of protein that you're getting.
So a couple things. Talk about what goes in. What is in a badass cookie, so our listeners can hear how wholesome it really is.
Yeah,
for you.
It's all non-GMO. It's all vegan. It's actually been certified kosher too.
Wow.
It's organic oats, raisins, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. We have a little bit of rosemary. We have a little bit of ginger, cinnamon, spirulina. That's giving it its, you know, the BCAAs, the amino acids, the B12, B6, omega-3, omega-6, the chlorophyll, the phytonutrients. I mean, it's all just wrapped up into a cookie. And a lot of people don't understand that spirulina actually is one of the very few items of food on the planet that has a high heat index. So you can heat it up to whatever temperature, and it keeps all its nutrients.
I didn't realize
Unlike
that.
a lot of plants, vegetables, and meat, which meat is the biggest thing. You know, we all know that if you heat anything over 112 degrees, pretty much, it starts diminishing the nutrients.
So you came up with the idea. You launched the cookie 2013. How did you raise your money? I mean, was it friends, family, your own? How did you do that? And where did you start? What was the first store that started selling badass cookies?
The first store, wow, that would have to be Choices Cafe down in Miami, Florida. A good friend of mine, Alex, he owns like an amazing restaurant down there. But I have to say, between him and Green Bar and Kitchen, they're both amazing restaurants. We're all friends down there. It's, you know, it's friendly competition. But they took the cookie into their restaurants and sold it for me. And I'm a frequent client and friend. So, you know, it was nice that they were like, you know what, if it's yours, we're going to try it.
They were supportive.
You know, they hadn't even tasted it yet. And they both like took it on. So that was huge for me. That's
huge.
Luckily, it did taste good. So they kept buying it and kept putting it out there. As far as the money I raised, I teamed up with an awesome vegan bakery right outside of Rochester, New York, and Sodus. A lot of people don't know it's a smaller town right outside of there. And they have just pretty much. I mean, if it wasn't for them, this project wouldn't have happened.
Wow.
So we've been doing real well, and we plan on just taking it further and further and incorporating it and getting more people involved.
And so for our listeners and our viewers out there that want to buy your cookie, they can buy it at badassvegan.com.
Yeah.
And they could also go to Whole Foods in Florida.
Yeah, Whole Foods in Florida, and hopefully we're gonna take it worldwide soon. One of my good mentors and friends is John Sally, and he's been helping me out with a lot with like
Who's a vegan?
who has a vegan wine out called the Vegan Vine,
Right.
and he's in Whole Foods pretty much worldwide. So he's plugging me in real good there. So
That's
it's
great.
coming along. It's coming along.
That's great. Do you have any last thoughts for our, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs and ecopreneurs that want to be, the next John Lewis?
I tell people, no matter whatever your passion is, stick to it. Like, you might not know what your passion is right now, but there's something that's going to keep you up at night. There's something that's going to, like, when you see somebody else doing it, you just light up. Or you say, man, I wish I was doing that. That's when you find your passion. Don't worry about if you don't know what it is yet, but once you find it, don't let anybody or anything stop you. And you're going to run into hate, you're going to run into negativity, but just stay positive and follow whatever your goal is and whatever your dream is. You can actually attain it. I don't care what anybody says. Just go for it.
Well, we're going to leave you on that, and when we have you back on Green is Good, we know you're going to be in Whole Foods around the world and selling badass cookies in every corner of this planet.
We're working on it.
And for our listeners out there, again, to buy John's great cookies, it's badass cookies. They're delicious. Our family loves them, and it's badassvegan.com. You can change the world, you can make a difference, and make a profit at the same time. We thank John Lewis for being here today, and we thank you for watching.